will be in order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Bammon.
Here.
Alderman Coleman.
Here.
Alderman Headley.
Here.
Alderman Totten. Here. Alderman West.
Next item, the invocation led by Jason Williams of Valley Community Church, followed by Pledge of Allegiance for Alderman Totten.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. God, we just pray your blessing upon everything that goes on. Lord, we thank you for those that help lead this community. God, I just pray your blessing upon them, God, that they would have the wisdom to be able to make the decisions that further this community. God, we thank you. We just pray your blessing upon everything that goes on today. God, we thank you and give you praise for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next item is approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
Seeing no changes there, no proclamations, we'll move on to citizens' participation. We ask the citizens who wish to address the board come forward to the microphone, and please give your name and address for the record. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board this evening? There's another part on the agenda for that, so
Yeah.
we can ask for but when we get to that.
Okay.
Anyone else wish to address the board? All right. Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move we accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion, Alderman West, to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Arnold. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Next up is previous business, the discussion for Charlie's Roadhouse.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, at the last board meeting, we had heard some concerns from residents regarding Charlie's Roadhouse, and accordingly we asked Chief Starbuck to go back and to do some research along with the codes department. So tonight you'll find there's a memo on the dais from Chief, and as well as a codes, a letter that kind of gives a rundown of the codes situation down there. I'm going to start with Chief, and if you want to just kind of go through and recap what's in the executive summary for the board, Chief, and then Mayor, the outcome of this will be to decide if we want to reach out to Charlie's Roadhouse and have them come up for hearing, or if we just want to continue to work through the processes with them.
Mr. Mayor and Board, you have two memos. One is one that I prepared. It's dated March 13th, and it's a summary of a meeting that myself and Captain James Beal had here at City Hall, and we specifically called the owner of Charlie's Roadhouse, Mr. Reisinger, and his bar manager, Ms. Bruner, in to discuss ongoing problems and calls to the establishment, and specifically some of those that you heard addressed by some of the citizens last week. And we discussed it at length, made him very aware of what his responsibilities were as far as a business owner, and the complaints of the neighborhood were becoming an ongoing issue, and they assured us that they would. The other document you'll have is dated this week, and I went through and I did a timeline. I put every incident that Green Valley officers have handled just in the last 4 years, and a summary of the types of incidents. Jackson County Dispatch has dispatched Green Valley officers to that establishment on 35 occasions, and you'll see a breakdown of the Is this on? Okay. You'll see a variety, probably the ones most appropriate are the disturbing the peace charges and DUI charges, and a variety of others. Also included on that is a series of incidents where police officers have been sent down there and have been contacted by neighbors, specifically those that live in the neighborhood just adjacent to the bar on the backside, who repeatedly asked for our help because of the loud music, and they have signed disturbing the peace charges on September 24th of 2015, on November 24th of 2015. Those occurred at 12:15 a.m. and then 2:42 a.m. December 6th, 2015 at 4 a.m. That was an arrest down the street of a intoxicated driver who had come out of the bar. October 10th, 2017, we went down there at 1:28 a.m. and again at 2:50 a.m., contacting neighbors who said even after being warned, the music returned. February 19th, 2018 at 2 a.m., we again issued a citation to the bar manager, and those charges are pending. And then that was the precipitous to the meeting that I had with them on March 13th. Well, I documented on March 13th, and then on March 6th, another call there, another citation was issued for disturbing the peace at 1:40 a.m., and then officers returned again there on March 9th at 11:50 at night again. So that's a summary of the types of situations that the officers are repeatedly being called to handle, and they are pretty much in line with what the citizens were discussing with you last week.
Chief, can I just ask a question here? In looking at the information that you provided, and I look at the disposition of each charge that you just mentioned, the charges have been dismissed by the court in every case except for one, which was found not guilty, and then the other cases obviously are still pending. So, not sure how I should take that when we're charging them, but the charges are getting dismissed.
And I can't comment on that. I'm not present during those. I know some of those charges that were dismissed were the ones charged by one of the ladies that was the complainant, and she said she came and testified, and the court said they would take it under advisement, and then later on she found out it was dismissed. So I have no information. They were adamant that they wanted to pursue those charges.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Coleman, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the docket sheet. I don't remember those charges being dismissed because we had a trial, and I presented the evidence we have in the city with the, I don't know, I think there were two complaining witnesses there.
These two.
I was one, I know you were,
Yeah.
but they dismissed it. I don't know why. They didn't.
Well, I don't think they dismissed it. The judge took it under advisement. He may have found him not, apparently he found him not guilty.
Yeah. The one in October, yeah.
And when?
October. The complaint was October, so it went to
It was
court after that.
We have more information.
I'm only going here by what is indicated on the sheet.
It says dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that one says found not guilty. There's one that says found not
The one
guilty.
that says found not guilty.
Then
The others
there's
are-
four before that were dismissed.
And they're, did you file complaints again, or are they
Yeah,
coming
we
up?
have dismissed
Are they coming up?
February and March.
I haven't received any, I mean,
Apparently they're on the docket coming up.
Yeah.
There are two on here that say that they are on the docket that are pending.
There's also a separation in these events, almost 22 months between the last one stated here in 12 of 15 and 10 of 17. So what occurred that changed over that 22 months? Was there a lack of activity, or just because the others were dismissed, did they just stop complaining for those 2 years?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
it just kind of got to the point where we didn't feel like it was going anywhere. And now, you know, that my husband's ill, it's affecting my daughter's autism, and I'm ill as well. Now, we want it to stop. So we're adamant, we're gonna keep at it. And we do actually have some new stuff that we would like to show you guys that's not pleasant, but it kinda goes in with what I was telling you guys about the, male genitalia and things like that. There are problems. There are pictures that we have that are posted on their Facebook page of male genitalia right behind my house. I have them if you want to see them.
Oh, I have copies. I do.
I've already seen it, so it's up to you.
That's all
Well, I
right.
wasn't exactly
There's
sure how to
more.
handle it, so that's why I, sent it to you earlier. It's kind of,
Yeah.
and it was actually posted by Charlie's Roadhouse themselves.
The first one is after I filed my complaint in October, this is what they posted on their Facebook page. So obviously they have no respect for the neighborhood. The second one is the picture taken behind the bar in December where a guy's standing there with his pants down and his fingers hanging out. The third one is advertised there, 5 days on Thursday night.
There's also been a,
And then, stripper pole that has been going to the stripper pole. So they had contact a little over a year ago with the stripper pole.
Well, it's been, it's what do you
still
call
there.
it, like an amateur night kind of thing, so. I don't know if they're allowed to do that.
I wouldn't think that's a bar activity. I think that's more an adult nightclub. And you can see the kind of clientele they're bringing in with that kind of advertising. That's,
I'm afraid to let my dogs in the backyard. I mean, we bought food that, I feel like I gotta be there, even if I can see them, I'm just afraid that.
and her son camps out with friends in the backyard in the summer. I'd like to be able to camp out in my backyard in the summer just for fun. I can't open the windows because of the noise. Even last Thursday night, they had a bike thing, and they were ripping around the building, and then they would rip off down Double A. They weren't going 35 miles an hour. They were ripping
I have video
out.
of that, and it's, keep going, and then, it's like,
Yeah.
let's do this,
encouragement.
They don't live here. They don't have to, they should take it to their neighborhood and see how their neighbors like it.
I'm really good at like, I'm worried that, I'm trying to hold my dog, or
Mhm.
like, I'm afraid of, like throw up the whole fence just for somebody like,
Yeah.
it's because they've been coming in front of houses,
Oh, yeah.
that kind of stuff. So it's kind of an intimidation thing at this point, and
Mhm.
we're not gonna go down.
Yeah.
But we are fearful.
Can I say
something?
Anybody from the establishment here?
I've seen another side to them.
Mhm.
They've gone out when my homeless shelter needed more coats.
Mhm.
They went out and got them so we could donate them to the military that were homeless downtown. I also know that they've done runs for children with, cancer.
I know they do that. I know and that's how they would say they serve the community, but they're not serving Green Valley community when they're letting drunks out on the street and when they're doing those kind of activities in the back, and they're not showing respect to, yeah, right.
My
to-
husband with a spinal cord injury,
I mean,
the man's got sleep.
mhm.
So I see that they do, I know that they have done that kind of stuff, but.
They do it with their Bible community.
Respect for, but we're just looking for, like, meeting in the middle kind of thing, like.
I understand what you're saying.
They've
But the thing
disrespected
that gets
police
me is,
officers.
You moved in knowing that was there.
Oh, no, my house, I've been there forever. I mean, I've owned my house.
You've
forever.
owned the house, but
And
you
I've
didn't
lived
live
there.
there.
I've had family and friends live there.
Yes.
So what you're saying, okay.
No, I've gone over there and I spot checked them.
Mhm.
I've gone down and I've spot checked, Whiskey Tango.
Mhm.
And one question I asked both of them is, where do you get the trash? And do you know what happened? And I saw it with my own 2 eyes. People come and they clean out their car and throw it on the ground. And it just amazes me.
Well, maybe you would like a phone call at 2:00 in the morning when they're making the noise. I would be happy to get your phone number and
Well, I'm
call
out
you.
at 2:00 in the morning.
Are you? Okay.
Yes,
Well,
I'm the
good.
neighborhood watch.
Okay.
And I hate to say this,
Mhm.
but wonderful parents have their children out roaming the streets at 2 and 3 in the morning, and I've asked the kids, what is your mom and dad gonna say when they notify them that you were out after curfew? Well, they're not home yet.
Well, we're not talking about the kids that roam the neighborhood, we're talking about the
Well, no, I know, but I mean, this is upsetting to me too.
Nancy, I think. Chris, did you have Alderman Bamman?
I was just curious if there was anyone from the establishment that was here tonight.
Supposed to be, looking at the plan.
I did too. I was hoping to hear some explanations as to some of the things that were brought forward here.
The thought this evening was to present the executive summary and determine if we wanted to call both parties up to hold a hearing.
Yeah, because there's no action we can take tonight. We'd have to schedule a hearing.
Well, unless anyone else had a different opinion, it sure seems like it's worth a hearing at this point.
So what would be a motion? It's been a while since we've done one.
Chief, what's the action on revocation? Or not, I'm sorry, not revocation, the administrative hearing?
It's been a while since we've done one.
So we would just,
That's the temporary closure.
yeah. Teresa?
Licensee shall be given no less than 10 days written notice to appear prior to the hearing.
So we would want a motion from the board to notify them to appear at the meeting, for a hearing.
I mean, we can do that, or I can tell you, I mean, I know they've, understanding is they've hired Mr. Halpin to represent them. And I know he was wanting more of a, like a public hearing type thing where they could come up and talk. So, I mean, either one of those would be on the table, I suppose.
But you have 10 days to set up that meeting, is that correct?
If we go through the administrative process, yes. We have to notify them at least 10 days ahead of the hearing. I think what Mayor Todd is suggesting, you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying
less
that's what he had requested of me.
Hearing versus.
is have
okay.
He had requested of me a public hearing, like, for them to come up and talk. So, I mean, they would get that opportunity either way, so.
What Mr. Halpin is suggesting is something less formal to start with? Is that what I'm
I believe, yes.
But what if they don't show? There's no teeth in that, is there?
No.
Mr. Cook, what would be the precedent of taking a less formal route to start with instead of going straight to the administrative process that we're talking about?
What would be the what?
The precedent, or what would be a reason we would want to do that instead of just going straight to the administrative process?
Probably to get to the bottom line quicker. In fact, that's what I told Draper to do when he sent me the email about the history of the problem. Because I wasn't aware of any of the zoning and code violations until he brought it to my attention. And it's my experience, the faster you can get the people to the table, in this area, notwithstanding the problems with the ordinance violations are a separate issue. If they continue, they're gonna have to be either handled in municipal court and/or by the board regarding the liquor license. That's a separate issue. But the land use issues are separate. And that's why I was trying to get them to the table, and I think, you say, somebody told me that they came up, a couple of weeks ago and met with staff.
Yeah, but this isn't even so much the land, the code side of it's not, it's having anything to do with the bar and the liquor license. That's, I think, the question Alderman Bamman is getting at is, for the liquor license side, it's an administrative hearing, which would be in the time frame, but the next board Alderman meeting to have that. So reason why we would go that way. Mr. Halpin, I guess that's for just a public hearing, not just talk formally.
Well, until tonight, I didn't know anything about the substance of the complaints about the basis to revoke the license or not renew. So I guess to answer your question, one of the advantages is trying to figure out what the facts are and how strong a case the city has to revoke the license. But, other than that, there's no reason not to go ahead with the administrative hearing. If the board feels there's enough reason and basis for the revocation.
I have another question, not to complicate things.
Okay.
Teresa just pointed something out to me. It'd be under, section B. You have the chapter 600 there, I think. In the event there is any conflict of interest in the Board of Aldermen, there shall be established a liquor control board. I spoke to you earlier about this. I know Alderman West felt that she represents, or she has a client who I think is involved in that business, and she felt like she should abstain from any action on this. Does that section mean that?
Well, first place, I don't know, Alderman West has the right to, if she feels she has a conflict, the fact that that Alderman West may do some work for a client doesn't necessarily mean it's a conflict. But if she feels that there is, that she certainly has an absolute right to recuse herself.
So that wouldn't apply because it's not defined as a legal conflict of interest then?
No,
Okay.
it had nothing to do with this. Only relates to whether or not Alderman West feels she might be perceived that she has a conflict by the client.
She could still abstain from all of that, and it wouldn't bring in this section. Okay. That was my question. Okay, the next question is how would the board like to proceed? And we have a couple options.
Fine to move forward with a more formal process, just bring it to a resolution sooner rather than drag it out with informal discussions, and then go to the next step.
So like at the next meeting, schedule
Yeah.
and then if we don't, okay.
I say that, and I'm not gonna be here on the 25th.
Okay.
So, and I would love to participate in that discussion, if it can possibly be either scheduled separately or at the following meeting,
I was actually getting ready to mention that. I don't know that it would, obviously, we don't want to drag this out any further, but you're swearing in new elected officials at the next board meeting. It's going to be a split meeting. I think the first meeting in May or before the next meeting are your two options.
Or we schedule a meeting before the next meeting.
Correct, yeah.
But you got 10 days. Well, if we do a public hearing, if we just do an informal workshop, we can do that without 10 days' notice.
Alderman Bamman's suggestion was the formal.
The formal, okay, so we'll have to.
We could look at the calendar and see if
Yeah.
there's a date for, we could always set a special meeting for it too.
Well, I'm just wondering if we're probably gonna need if we do formal, we're gonna need a special, you're gonna wanna do that on the night different than a regular meeting, probably, right?
Most likely.
It'd have to be the Thursday, the 19th, or the 20th, Friday. Just past that 10-day mark.
My recommendation was gonna be that we wait until
Monday.
after the new board is sworn in. That way we can go ahead and set the minimum 10-day out, closer, but we're not waiting until the first meeting in May, so we would have a meeting in between the second board meeting of April and the first meeting in May.
Like the 30th, maybe?
When are you gonna be back in town?
Well, we'll meet we'll meet the 14th.
Yeah.
So like the 30th or the 7th? Those are two Monday, I mean, we saw the 30th as a Monday.
30th would be fine.
That'd be fine for you.
We will send out a confirmation for everyone tomorrow, Teresa.
April
Well, do we want to go ahead,
For April 30th.
so do we need to make the motion tonight for it, April 30th though?
I don't know that you set the date, Mr. Cook. Do we need to set the?
Well, we have to,
You would make the motion to set an administrative hearing. I don't know that the date has to be, well, it may need to be, does the date need to be in the record for a hearing? The board's trying to decide which day we're going to do the hearing.
Yeah.
Does Mayor Todd need to make a recommendation for a specific date, or can he say, that we have a majority of the board wanting to hold a hearing and to reach out to the Roadhouse and, everyone else to make sure that we have, I would hate for you to vote for the 30th and, half of the business owners are out of town or something like that.
The requirement under the ordinance is that the mayor of the city must provide 10 days written notice to appear, period. So, that's the minimum.
If you want to set the hearing on the 30th, you can.
well, I'm just try it and see if that doesn't work for them, then we could try another date.
So maybe the question is, can they go ahead and take the motion that they decide that they want to do the hearing tentatively for the 30th, and we're going to reach out, and a letter will be sent, or notice will be sent by the city.
If that's the case, then we have to give 10 days notice and all the reasons for the revocation. So that has to go out quickly. It's gonna be April 30.
Well, we're looking at April 30th, yeah.
Brian, it might make sense to push this into May like you were suggesting,
Yeah.
just to give yourself a reasonable amount of time to craft what.
Because if we do that, we can actually make the motion next meeting.
Seventh would be the first Monday.
Because we'll have, huh? Yeah. Okay, somebody else out.
I would say we just make a recommendation that we'll, schedule the hearing, and at the next board meeting,
Do the date.
We can notify, if we need to set the date before, we can reach out and notify everybody. It's just difficult to schedule a meeting with 7 different elected officials, business owners, and residents while we're conducting the board meeting. We're unable to reach those folks. So I think, if we have a consensus from the board that we would like to hold the hearing, that tomorrow staff can reach out to everybody to find out what dates would work best, and rather than put everybody on the spot and try to figure out a date that works right now.
Okay.
As long as you're comfortable with that, Mayor.
That's fine, yeah, I mean, just do that, that's fine. So we just need a motion then to give them the notice, or?
Yes.
Then wait, okay. So did you want to make a motion, Alderman Bamman, to start the proceedings and give them
I'm fine with that. I need some assistance with the language of what it needs to say.
so it'll just say,
Motion needs to say what, Mr. Cook?
It's the motion to set a hearing before the Board of Aldermen, regarding the suspension or revocation of the liquor license, at a date to be determined by the board considering the schedule, and not less than 10 days prior.
And I'll ask you to help me with one other term I would like to consider inserting into that, either suspension, revocation, or modification? If we decide to go back to a midnight, or do something to change the structure of what they're doing over there?
Yeah, you can suspend the 3 o'clock part of it.
You could do
Right.
that, you have to do it all. That's
Yeah,
what we
you
would
can't
need to
just
do.
suspend the
Oh.
3 AM portion as,
That's what we,
We have to suspend it all and then
and then
reissue
reissue
and on.
So instead of modified.
To answer your question, it's either suspended or revoked under the ordinance.
Okay, so moved.
Doesn't say modified, it just says suspended or revoked.
That's fine.
So you could revoke it and then issue a non-3 AM one to
A
them.
non-3 AM is a possible alternative to that. So if I say so moved, does everybody get
Yeah, I
that?
think she got it. I think she got it all there.
Second.
All right. There's Alderman Bannman, second Alderman Headley. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we will work on getting that date. Thank you.
Is that just us and them, or?
I'll call you last fall and.
It'd be a public meeting.
Also, I may have
Yep.
the wrong number, would you mind writing your phone number down?
But there probably wouldn't be anything else on the
O'clock in
agenda,
the
just
morning,
that.
I've never seen you.
Okay, and you guys will contact us with the date.
You're not
I
on
know I have
Front and
to
Walnut,
write
that's
in there,
all
but,
It's not
I know
our-
where you have your address, so,
You've got it?
I don't know if I have your phone.
I
number.
have a phone number, I'll get that to you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I may, you all are welcome to sit down if you're done, but, I just have a couple other questions on the topic itself.
Yeah, I figured I
And
could.
probably more directed at
I
the
just thought
chief.
I'd ask you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Chief Starbuck.
When the chief gets done. The question is this: when you put these statistics that were shared with us tonight, and you set them side by side with the Whiskey Tango, how far over the top is this, or how normal is this? Or, you know, help me understand
Probably.
the scope and the scheme here of what we're seeing and what it means.
My guess are Whiskey Tank, this is the UT. These numbers compared to, say, Whiskey Tango's numbers. I mean, Whiskey Tangos are probably gonna be higher, would be my guess, right? Just because the volume of business they do is probably quite a bit greater also.
I don't know if that's gonna be residents' complaints against the owners, though. It's going to be,
That's gonna be different, yeah.
it's gonna be citations issued.
There's probably no really disturbing the pieces there because there's not, houses bordering it. Yeah.
And then my last question, it's somewhat along the line of Mr. Coleman's. How do we have so many repeated occurrences that really didn't seem to result in much more than a hand slap? How does that happen? We appear to have set some sort of a precedent that, to some extent, maybe what's happening is okay. Is that a fair statement or not? And I'm just asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody really knows
I mean,
at
is
this
that-
point how to answer that?
Is that coming more from the judge, or is that?
I would imagine dismissal would come from Judge Jack, Jim, is that correct?
Well, if there's a dismissal, it's either because the complaining witness dismissed it, which I don't think happened, or I dismissed it because of lack of evidence or witnesses, which I don't recall happening. Again, it's not a dismissal, it's not guilty, find me, that's different from a dismissal. There's been a finding that the evidence did not support the complaint after a trial. And I know we had a trial.
So what could have happened
I don't think so, really.
on these 2 dismissals are this individual, who's not one of these ladies, didn't show up to court to testify.
Not typically.
Okay, so that may be what led to 2 of the dismissals, because it was the same individual who reported it.
That's probably who lived there before I did, would be my guess.
So the kinds of evidence that are collected in a scenario like this, it's not somebody standing at a property line with a calibrated sound meter validating
the sound levels are beyond the decibel levels that the ordinance allows. It's more a verbal report by someone on the other side that came to the court, that came to the hearing and gave their side of the argument.
Correct.
There's not physical evidence that's presented of photographs, sound readings, nothing like that.
None of those. There was testimony. Did you testify?
No, it was my son and I.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that then.
There was testimony from this lady,
Rose McLaughlin.
Ms. McLaughlin, because I'm the one that asked her questions. She was my witness. So I presented her and her son as a witness for the city. And they testified about the noise and the problems. And then I remember, I think Lysinger and the bar manager testified. They were both here, and they weren't represented. And they both told the judge what their version was. And it took about an hour to, they took it under advisement, apparently felt that either I didn't meet my burden, or there was a reasonable doubt or something, that he ruled that Lysinger was not guilty.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all.
Okay.
For any questions?
Probably the one thing I see on this, that's supposed to be documented on their own website, is the public display is gonna tell you. That is probably the biggest issue I see right here beyond the noise, is if they're allowing that type of stuff to take place, that needs to be addressed. I mean, it's on a Facebook that children can access. So,
Yeah, I got that publicly off their pages.
I just looked at myself, it's still up there, so, that's a really troubling thing for them in my mind.
I mean, the noise is a big issue, but we're going way past that now.
Move on then to new business. We have fireworks permit. First is Grand Valley Band Parent Association, and then Grand Valley Partnership. We'll start with Grand Valley Band Parent Association.
So we have Mr. Stowe representing the Green Valley Band Parents Association, requesting approval of the 2018 application for permit to sell fireworks. I have received all the paperwork from the Band Parents Association. They are still using the same location as in previous years, which is at the parking lot of Eagles Parkway and BB, correct? So all information is in. And for both of these applications tonight, we just need motions to approve the application for permit to sell fireworks.
Okay, that's one vote on that, all right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Band Parents Association.
Anyone have any questions of the Band Parents Association? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the permit for the Grand Valley Band Parents Association.
So moved.
Motion, Alderman Bannon. Second.
Second.
Alderman Coleman. Any discussion then on the motion?
When do they start selling them?
It won't be till in July. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but it's just shortly before 4th of July. And then I believe the day after the 4th, that's the last day to sell.
Is that also when the last fireworks will be done?
That's a whole separate.
That's a whole separate thing, but the ordinance is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I believe,
Okay,
unless, depending on what the 4th falls on.
because we ran into a problem with that last.
Any other discussion on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next, we have approval fireworks permit for the Grand Valley Partnership.
We also have Tasha Lindsay representing the partnership, requesting the same permit to sell fireworks. And actually got this backwards. Tasha is at the BB Eagles Parkway, and the band parents are at the school property by the bus barn. Tasha has also turned in all of her paperwork. Anyone have any questions for her?
Any questions?
Who is the partnership partnering with?
Boy Scouts? Boy Scouts? Same as I guess it has been for years.
They've done the last couple. I'll entertain a motion to approve the permit for Grand Valley Partnership.
So moved.
Motion Alderman Coleman, second Alderman West. Any discussion on the motion to approve for the Grand Valley Partnership? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, those are approved. No more new business. Move on to presentations. First item on the presentations is 2018-2019 benefit rates presentation.
Good evening. I am passing out the rates that we received from NPR. If you recall, you joined the insurance pool last year. I will go over the numbers accordingly. So what we have here is, the first page has NPR written at the top of it. The overall increase that NPR saw for health insurance was 9.6%. For the individual plans that we have, the overall increase was 10.6 and 9.9, respectively. However, based on the city of Green Valley's experience, we're actually below the increase that NPR overall saw. So we, in our health plan, the open access plan, we saw an 8.8% increase. The choice fund, we saw an 8.2% increase. Dental was, as you can tell, below the overall increase that NPR saw at 3.9 and 3.8%. Vision, we were right there with the employee and just a little under for the employee plus. So those are the numbers, the percentage increase that we saw. NPR does have a program where if we, that they have the overall increased numbers, and then we have, based on the individual entities, numbers. So that would be ours there. And then on the back of the sheet, we have what the different renewal rates are. Last year the board did vote to give the dependent discount of 65%, so that is calculated here in the formula with the current rates and the renewal rates. The number of participants that you see there and about the middle of the table are those that had signed up for our benefits at July 1st of 2017. You can see that the cost per month of what the insurance was and will be, and then you'll see the yearly cost and what the overall increase is for the benefits for just the health, and then the health and dental. Just so you know, the vision is all employee-based. As far as where we land with the budget, we had budgeted a 5% increase for 2018. Obviously, by the numbers I just showed you, we're above that. However, we have had 3 open police officer positions and that have been ongoing, so that takes us from previous year to this year. We have a newly budgeted position of the engineer, inspector, technician position that hasn't been filled yet, and we've on and off, we've had public works maintenance worker position open on and off. And with the fact that we had budgeted the 5% at a family rate, we should be, we estimate that we're right in line with our budgeted numbers accordingly. No changes to the HSA, and these are the numbers that were
that are approved by the NPR. So we're presenting it to you tonight, and then we'll have a resolution for approval at the next meeting. Questions?
Keeps you in the same exact plan. You don't have to do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, switch everyone around like we've done in the past.
No. You're right. Everything stays the same.
One of the things that the board had requested in the past is that we could, set a goal to get the dependent amount up to 70 or 75%. We're not at this time recommending an increase because we just put out a RFP for the comprehensive salary and fringe benefits study that the board requested a month or two ago. So we're going to wait until the results come back from that to find out where we should be in the market, and accordingly we will make recommendations. Any rate changes or increase in the city's portion could take effect on January 1 with the new fiscal year. So we will have the new numbers in time for budgeting in order to anticipate that.
Any additional questions? All right, thank you. Okay, next item under presentations is Grand Valley Reappointment Assistance Program.
Ryan, members of the board, right here for a second. As you know, between the last board meeting and the present one, unfortunately, the Grand Valley market closed. With the impact of that closure and the amount of employees that we anticipated to be out of work, we started talking about ways that we could help those employees. We came up with the idea of in this situation, it was Grand Valley Market Reemployment Assistance Program. But what we'd like to do tonight is talk a little bit more about an overall program that could be used to fit any business within Grand Valley that experiences a closure or a significant layoff. Some of the things that we started to look at is really the city could best serve residents that experience a local business closing like this by being more of a network hub instead of offering new services or reinventing the wheel, being able to plug people into resources. And so after quite a bit of discussion, some of the things that we talked about were assistance of application of unemployment, helping with application and resume development, career exploration planning, self-assessments, online and face-to-face training and education, job placement assistance, utility billing deferment, and then obviously plugging them in with local resources like the Grand Valley Assistance Council to see if they have any programs that might be helpful to them during the transition. I think everybody at this point has seen this program guideline that's on page number 2 behind the Grand Valley employers, which would be the outline of the offerings that we would have or the programs that we would try to put together. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that we did is at least brought it to the board to get discussion points or if you guys have any questions about it. But also, if we do move forward with it, there are some markers or some metrics that we need to set out that this program will operate under, and that's more of a full board discussion. So now that I've explained the second page, flip back to the first page. If you look at the Grand Valley employers we have 277 businesses within the city limits carry an occupational license. Actually, there's 276 in the Grand Valley School District that does not have to have an occupational license. And if you look at the top down, I just 27 businesses within Green Valley that have 20 employees or more. That ranges all the way from, Casey's General Store, 20 employees to Green Valley School District. Really got that community from this, number was 630 employees. One of the things we need to find out is, if we offer this program, do we want to offer it to a local business with 20 or more employees, 25, 30? Obviously, the higher you go with the required employees, the fewer companies that would be eligible for this. Now, our hope is that, a company doesn't close, within Green Valley. We don't even want them to relocate. This program would only, go into effect when it's closed and employees lose their job. So some of the information that we need to come up with is, what's that starting number with? Over this past week when we talked about it, the mayor and I talked about, 20 or more employees. But that was before I collated this data that showed that, we have 27, employers of that size. The city's not, it's not like we're at a tremendous risk by offering this program, because like I said, we're utilizing maybe 1 or 2 staff members, and obviously the utility billing use of it is deferring on payment. The city's not losing on that. We're just extending their time to pay their bills and then setting them up on a payment plan. So overall, is there interest in the program? Okay. All right. So do you want to set those individual standards tonight or have any discussion about it? As you can see on the program or the paperwork that I handed out to you, the employers range from anywhere from 20 to 25 to 30, and the numbers are at the bottom of that sheet accordingly. Is there any heartburn or issue with having 20 or more, any employer with 20 or more employees being insured for this program?
Are we not, is there any, well, there's gotta be businesses that are less than 20. We're just not showing them.
Correct, yeah, I took everything. We have 277 businesses.
Okay, gotcha.
There's 250
Yeah.
that would have filled up
Okay.
5 pages.
No, I get you. So, and I'm getting off topic here, but the 2 companies that are listed at the bottom in yellow, I think I understand what you're saying is that they do have a branch or something here in the city.
Yeah, good question. I forgot to mention that. So, Waste Corporation of Missouri, WCA, is they have 1,425 employees. We know that that's what they report on their occupational license. The same with Badger Daylight Corporation. That's a hydro excavating company. They produce factors and basically any type of specialized excavation that's required around fiber optics are really important resources. They do the machinery for that. So we have a branch here in Green Valley that provides service work. They have 1,106 employees, so I mean it's just a handful of employees that work in that job.
We have them separated out, but Penny's Concrete up here, they don't have 227 employees here, right?
No, but we didn't have a final number on them. We know that they have more than 30, so they were included on the list. They do have more than 30 employees that operate out of this terminal. So we can find that.
No, that's fine. I've never seen any employees for it.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of where, we try to decide which is dispatch, trucking, and that sort of thing. So we can narrow down that number a little bit.
It's not important. That's fine. I was just curious.
The tough part about determining this too is that we have what they report on their occupational license. What we don't know is if this is full-time equivalents or if this is just employees reported. So even though these numbers are what the city's giving, we're doing our best to come up with a list that can kind of measure how many, folks would be eligible for this program.
Couldn't we look at it from like 20 to 75? Probably gets the sweet spot of most of the smaller companies that don't have, corporate backing like McDonald's or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in those cases, more than likely, they're going to bring that kind of stuff to the table anyway.
Right. Yeah,
I would hope.
those sort of programs. Absolutely. So that was the other end of this number was we set the bottom and then the top number. So based off of that, we would have 21 employers within Green Valley that would be eligible. Basically, just can go down to the bottom of the list. So for that 20 to 75 range, does anybody have any comments, questions, any other ideas?
I have a question about the assistance program itself. Is that too early to ask that question?
Well, let's get this number nailed down and talk about that next. Yeah.
Everyone okay with the 20 to 70 number?
Yeah.
And I just want to let everybody know that you're not approving anything tonight. You're giving me direction to put a program together to come back for the board's approval at future meetings. So the two things one of the things that we talked about is utility billing deferment. The two things in the original document that we came up with that would trigger it would be full-time. It's either they're a full-time employee or they're a part-time employee of that company and it's their single source of income. Does anybody have any questions about that standard? I mean, we thought about making it full-time, but there could be somebody out there that only works 30 hours a week, and that's their single source of income. They're going to need assistance as much as anyone else. Okay. The utility billing deferment. So essentially what would happen is the utility billing account would go into deferment for 90 days. So during that 90 days, they would continue to accrue all of their water and sewer charges that they would normally be charged, but they would not be required to pay or have any late fees assessed on their amount. That would be up to 90 days or until reemployment is attained or up to 90 days. So it gives them a 3-month period of bill deferment, after which, like I said, we waive all of the penalties, but then we would give a 20% overall discount on the water and sewer charges and set them up on a 6-month repayment plan. So that's really, if you want to look at where the city's got, a tangible skin in the game, it's that 20% discount. If you have a water bill that's $80 a month and they have that deferred for 3 months, that's $48 that would be discounted over that 3-month period before they're put into their 6-month repayment plan. So are there any concerns with those standards? Okay. As far as resources that we're going to use to help them, it's actually been kind of overwhelming. We've had employers call us that saw the press release or read the story in the Examiner. We reached out to the owner of the company, let them know about the program. They provided a roster of employees, and we requested that they just put out the information to their employees as well. One of the things that we'll be utilizing that's really up to resource connection is Missouri Workforce Development. They offer free classes, online training, assistance with certain tuitions. We can get them set up with unemployment through a login through that, and we'll be able to do all of that in this scenario by having a workstation here set up or a partner workstation down at the library. And so folks will be able to come in, have a staff member guide them through that process of setting up the account, and someone that's familiar with navigating workforce development to make sure that they get the full benefits that they need. the Green Valley School District has also offered to come down anytime and offer or host workshops here at Green Valley at City Hall to help folks that have become unemployed from a circumstance like that. So there's a lot of resources out there. I know when someone loses their job, it's overwhelming to know where to start, and that's really what this program's all about, just trying to help them get started in the path of reemployment instead of stuck for, 4 to 6 weeks before they're even moving. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I will take that information, put it back together in a document, and get it to the board.
Thank you. So basically, we'll have one employee that will be coordinating all this, is that what you're saying?
Two.
Two.
Yeah, so it'll be 3 secondly, that would be 2 that are helping with a program like this.
They won't be helping them put together a resume or something like that. You're talking about these other organizations that would be doing it.
Yeah, so the school district, Missouri Workforce Development, and the library are the 3 institutions that would help with that.
No, I really appreciate you and the team putting your heads together and taking some of these ideas that we discussed to this degree and, reaching out to those employees that I think it's.
How many have we had that have utilized it so far?
We've had nobody reach out for the program. Not unless we know that.
Hopefully they all got shot.
Thank you. Okay, no other presentations, no public hearings. Move on to ordinances.
First ordinance, Your Honors, Bill B-1804, second reading. It is an ordinance changing the zoning for certain land in Green Valley from agricultural R1 single family. Second reading, it will be ordinance 2432.
Mayor, I move that we accept Bill B-1804 for its second read and make it ordinance number 2432.
I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve Bill B-18-04 for its second reading, making ordinance 2432. I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Coleman. Any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Arnold?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Totten?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Headley?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
6-0, Mayor. Bill B-1805, second reading. It will be an ordinance amending Chapter 242, Code of Ordinances, City of Green Valley, Missouri, pertaining to background and records checks for coaches and volunteers of youth recreational programs. Second reading, it will be ordinance 2433.
Mayor, I move we accept Bill 18-05 for its second reading, making it ordinance 2433.
I have a motion from Alderman Headley to accept Bill B-18-05 for its second reading, making ordinance 2433. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bamman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
West?
Yes.
Headley?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Totten?
Yes.
6-0, Mayor. Resolutions next. Resolution R-18-17 is a resolution by the Board of Aldermen, City of Green Valley, authorizing the city administrator to purchase a Volvo L60H wheel loader. Resolution R-18-17.
I move that we accept resolution number R-1817 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman Totten to accept resolution R-18-17. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Coleman. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is a wheel loader that we had put in the budget to purchase this year. we've been in the process of demoing them for the last few months. The old piece of equipment is actually locked out now. It was involved in a accident that injured an employee late last year. So we have since been demoing equipment. This is the one that Public Works preferred. I'll let Mr. Arroyo answer any questions you may have.
Do you have any questions?
How does it relate to pricing within, how does it relate to our budget, what we budgeted for?
We budgeted $130,000, and this one came in at $115,000. It had a $19,500 trade-in with the existing machine, with its deficiencies that we've had to remedy.
So is the final number after the trade-in, or is that before the trade-in?
The final number's after the trade-in, so the
115 was after the trade-in.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
How does this model compare with the price of the other models that we demoed? Are they all pretty much in the same price
this one
range?
actually is a little bit one of the lower ones. We did have a John Deere, but it was pretty underpowered. That was about 110. You know, some of the other machines were in the range. The original machine that we had was like 151 horsepower. This one came in just a little bit above that. There wasn't a machine that was exactly in that range, but in terms of price, it was probably at the lower end with the trade-in. Because some of them, you know, you have to look at the trade-in plus what the company is going to give you for a trade-in versus the actual price. So, but we actually believe this one performed better than some of the more expensive high-end machines. So
The functionality is pretty much the top choice, is what?
yes. As far as the reasoning, kind of had a spreadsheet in there that talked about all the pluses and minuses, what we looked at. This machine, we believe that the hydraulics performed smoother. The power of the machine was very good compared to others. The equipment that came inside the cab, the warranty that it came with, also, it was actually one of the only ones that had a lifetime warranty on the frame and boom. And so we believe that that was, you know, all those factors combined made this piece of equipment one of the ones that everybody preferred.
Powertrain warranted by hours used, or?
It's got a 4,500 hours.
Any additional questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0 vote. Next resolution is R 1818, resolution authorizing the offering for sale of general obligation refunding bonds for the benefit of the city of Great Valley, Missouri. Resolution R 1818.
Here, I move that we accept Bill R 18-18 as read.
I have a motion from Alderman West to approve resolution R 18-18. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bannnon. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, every year we look at refinancing opportunities on our bonds. This year, the 2008 A series was up for renewal or refinancing. Accordingly, we crunched the numbers and looked at it, and it was going to be about $200,000 and a little in excess of $200,000 in savings with the lower interest rate after the cost of reissuance. And so this resolution right here just permits the company to go out and to offer the bonds for refinancing, at which time, once we have a bid and selected the buyer of the bonds, we'll come back. Isn't it that same day, Kathy?
It'll be, somewhere around June 11th is when we'll be doing the sale of bond. We'll have, ordinance on the agenda that night to authorize that. The sale will actually close the next day.
So this resolution just lets us go to the market with them, and you will approve the sale based off the results on June 11th.
when was that brought up again? Only because I wanna know where interest rates were and where they are now, as far as the time that has gone by. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I didn't follow your question, I'm
follow
sorry.
your question either.
We discussed this at some time to refinance the bonds, is that what we're saying here?
No, this is the first time that the board has actually seen this issue.
Well-
We monitor
Yeah.
when it's available for refinance, and if we see something favorable, we bring it forward to the board.
And bonds have to reach a certain point of maturity before they're considered current refunding.
Right.
With the new tax laws, if it's not a current refunding, you can't refund it as tax-exempt bonds. They become taxable bonds, and your interest goes up even more.
Okay, so these bonds are in place right now, though?
Correct.
And so how long have we had these bonds?
10 years.
Okay. Makes sense.
2028.
Additional questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
6-0, Mayor. That's
Next item, city attorney's reports.
nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Next up is city administrator and staff reports.
Okay, we will start with Ken Murphy.
Mayor and board, I just had one thing, I'm telling you, but Shannon Davies is the one that did a lot of the work. But as you know, we've been trying to find options for, programs to allow seniors to get around, whether it's to appointments or the store or anything. So we are very close to being able to finalize, something with Oates based off the money that was budgeted, for this year. We would be looking at, hopefully trying to get it going about the first part of May. Maybe having something to you guys at the next, board meeting. But tentatively, with the program cost and the amount of money we have budgeted, we're looking at doing it 2 days a week, for somewhere 6-ish hours a day. We have to work out the final numbers and some of the housekeeping items on our end, but I just want to let you know we are finally, to that point where it looks like we'll be able to offer a program, to the seniors.
Mr. Royal.
Just wanted to give, Mayor and the board an update. The Jackson County Yard Waste Facility was scheduled to be open this last weekend. However, they didn't open it just because of the threat of snow and having, snowplow drivers on standby. So they do intend to open that facility this weekend, from what I understand. I don't know yet if they've updated that on their website, so that's all I had. Thank you.
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Next up then is Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Arnold.
This will be my last opportunity for this. I want to take the opportunity to thank all the citizens and the board for their tolerance and duration of me for my time and tenure on the board. It's been an honor to serve with you, and wish you best in the future. That's all, Mayor.
Alderman Totten.
Well, I want to be sure it goes down on record that we thank the Green Valley High School baseball team for coming over and spending 4 hours picking off pop tops and smashing cans, and they didn't know just how much fun that could be. So I appreciate them for all that they did.
Alderman Coleman.
First of all, I want to say what an awesome job the city is doing with the senior luncheon. It just has expanded so much with the people that are attending, and they just, Sarah, thank you very much. You've done an awesome job. And Dale, thank you very much for your service. I appreciate your time and your efforts, and even though we didn't always agree, I always appreciated your perspective on things, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Also, Chris, if I'm stealing your thunder here, I apologize, but we're going to have to come up with another school board liaison, as Chris has officially stepped off the board, and I want to congratulate him on his...
Doesn't mean he has to stop going to school board.
There is truth to that. I like the way you think. But I wanna
You'll still be there.
Yeah. But Chris, congratulations, by the way, for, what is it, 9 years that you put into that? And, I again appreciate your dedication to that as well. So, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Headley?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Alderman West?
I want to tell Dale it's been a pleasure working with you on the board. I'm certainly going to miss you.
Alderman Bammon?
I would echo that. I wish you the very best, Dale, in your future endeavors and all that.
You can go join the school board.
Desire to serve doesn't leave, you know. Also, in the general election last week, the school board's bond issue passed. I believe that'll be a little over $11 million in improvements to the high school and football field. So, I'll be seeing some plans to review if you haven't already, and some permits and things to look into. That's about it for this week.
Next up, Mayor's report. I'll just say all I have to say about you next meeting, so I'll wait.
You gonna be here?
Yeah, you gotta be here. I gotta stand down front, give you a presentation, all that, you know. Reminds me, we need something to present. Make it good. The next item I have then is, if I can get it open without breaking it. Our trophy for 2018 Business of the Year. You know how I like trophy for? I've got my fingerprints on it, so I pulled it out of here. My wife kept saying I was going to drop and break it, so I'm going to hand it over before I do that. All right.
Are you sure you want to give it to me?
Break it now, it's your problem.
I haven't.
And my next item, and I noticed Daryl Jones stayed around to make sure I was going to do this. So I wasn't going to chicken out of this. But I will be posting tomorrow on the Residents of Grand Valley page that I will be leaving the group social media things that are out there, like Residents of Grand Valley, and I am going to strictly respond on my Mayor Grand Valley page and through the city's Facebook page, and we will encourage people to like those pages and such, and if they have questions, to go through the channels of asking us to do those pages or messaging us or giving us a call and all that. Ultimately, I think what I would like to see is that maybe all of, I don't think most of you probably do it, so it wouldn't be a change, but for all the elected officials to, step away from those pages, not so much as follow them, but to not respond and answer questions on that, and to really get residents to, engage us through other ways. So, but I will be posting that tomorrow, and effective Wednesday, I will not be on those pages. So Daryl has promised that if something comes up I need to know about, he will let me know, and I can respond to it through our official site.
You don't have to worry about me.
I know, Nancy. You don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about you.
To that end, Mr. Mayor, Sarah's actually drafting the social media policy for the city right now and for employees. If you would like to see any of that formalized in a policy, we can add that as well for something for the board to go through.
Well, what's the board's thoughts on that? Is that something the board would like to? Okay. Include?
It's kind of, I can roll into the policy, similar things that I have for employees to do a separate section for elected officials.
Well, yeah, we'll have a separate section for electeds. Get with everybody, get their input on it. Obviously, you guys will give it your blessing before anything is approved, so.
Very good. All right, I don't believe we have a need for an executive session unless someone has one. All right, well adjourned.